Her sister falsely accused her of stealing. She lost everything in one lie, no questions asked. But years later she returned with silent power and delivered a revenge so sweet it left her sister begging on her knees. It started on a Saturday morning, the kind that usually smelled like fried plantain and sounded like gospel music from Mama's Bluetooth speaker. But that morning, everything changed. Mama stormed into the living room, her face tight, holding up her empty jewelry box. "Who took my gold bangle?" she demanded. The whole house fell silent. It was the bangle Mama always said would be passed down to her daughters. First to Tenny, then Amaka. It was priceless, not just in value, but in meaning. Tenny came downstairs slowly, wrapped in her silk robe, fake concern written all over her face. Then she said it. "I saw Amaka in Mama's room yesterday. She had something shiny in her hand. That was all it took." No one asked Amaka what she was doing in the room. No one asked if she had touched the bangle. The room turned cold. Eyes shifted. Her father stood up, arms crossed. "Is it true?" Amaka froze. "I didn't take anything. I was looking for my charger, I swear." But it didn't matter. The moment Tenny pointed her finger, it was already over. Mama shouted, "Thief!" before Amaka could finish her sentence. Her voice cracked with disbelief. You of all people!" Amaka looked at her sister, hoping to find a trace of mercy. Nothing, just a smug look and folded arms. Her dad didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He just said, "You have until sunset. Leave this house." She begged. She cried. She asked for them to check the CCTV or even search her bag. They refused. Tenny shook her head slowly like a disappointed elder. "I didn't want to say anything, but you've changed lately, Amaka." The betrayal cut deep. They didn't call the police. That would have been too public. They wanted to bury the scandal quietly, sweep it under the rug like a dirty family secret. So they erased her instead, blocked her number, removed her from the family WhatsApp group. Her uncle from Maryland sent one cold message. "Your actions have brought shame." She packed her things in silence. Just a backpack, her laptop, $50 cash. No one helped her. No goodbye. Tenny watched from the window upstairs as Amaka walked out into the Houston sun, pretending not to see her. Amaka didn't look back. She couldn't. Her legs shook. Her heart was crushed. She sat at the nearest bus stop and cried like she was 5 years old again. Not because of the money, not because she was now homeless, but because the people who raised her didn't even ask if it was true. They didn't trust her. They didn't care to listen. And her own sister, the person she shared secrets with growing up, was the one who destroyed her life with a single lie. That was the day Amaka died in her parents' eyes. But in her heart, something else was born. Quiet, strong, and patient. Not revenge, not yet, just survival. But deep down, she knew. One day, they would all remember this moment, and they would regret it. Amaka walked out of the only home she had ever known with just a small backpack slung over her shoulder. Inside it were a few clothes, her cracked phone, and the last $50 she had. No one said a word as the front door closed behind her. No hug, no second glance, just silence. Her mother had already blocked her number. Her father's final words still echoed in her ears. "You are dead to this family." Not a figure of speech. He meant it. The man who used to carry her on his shoulders after Sunday service now looked at her like a stranger. And Tenny, she stood by the window upstairs, arms crossed, smirking like she had won a game, only she was playing. The street outside felt colder than usual, even with the Texas sun blazing. Amaka sat on the curb, her mind spinning. One moment she was part of a loud, messy, loving family. The next, she was nobody. She called a few people, her voice shaky, pretending she was just in the area. Only one person picked up, Chidera, her old classmate. Without asking questions, Chidera told her to come over. That night, Amaka slept on a faded couch in a cramped apartment, the TV humming softly in the background while she stared at the ceiling, wide awake. She didn't cry much. Not that first night. Her tears had dried up on the ride over, but inside, she was broken, embarrassed, humiliated. The shame burned deeper than any insult. What hurt most wasn't being kicked out. It was how fast they threw her away, how quick they believed Tenny. Her own family didn't even ask if she was okay. They didn't even try to find the truth. One lie, and that was all it took. For days, she didn't leave the couch. She didn't talk much. She just stared at her phone, watching the family group chat stay active. Birthdays, photos, prayers, like she never existed. Mama posted a picture of Sunday rice with the caption, "Family is everything." Amaka read it 3 times. She wanted to scream. Instead, she saved the picture, a reminder. At night, while Chidera snored softly in the room, Amaka stared at the ceiling. Her heart was heavy, but her mind was sharp. She replayed everything: Tenny's fake concern, her dad's cold silence, her mother's disgust. Every piece sat in her memory like glass, painful but clear, and somewhere deep in all that pain, something solid began to grow. A decision. She wouldn't beg. She wouldn't explain herself. They had made their choice. She was no longer welcome. Fine. But they would remember her one day, not as the girl who was kicked out, but as the one they threw away without thinking, who rose, quietly, without them. Amaka closed her eyes and whispered to herself, "I won't forget." Not the pain, not the faces, not the moment they turned their backs. Amaka knew she had 2 choices, break or build, so she chose to build, even if it meant starting from below zero. With no home, no family, and barely any money, she got a job at a small Nigerian restaurant, waiting tables 6 days a week. The pay was low, the shifts were long, and her feet were always aching, but she never complained. She smiled at customers, cleared plates, and stayed invisible. Her boss liked her because she worked like she had something to prove, because she did. After work, while others rested, Amaka stayed up late, scrolling job boards and watching YouTube tutorials on a borrowed laptop. It was slow, second-hand, and missing half the keys, but it worked. She started learning graphic design, free courses, bootleg software, anything she could get her hands on. She created fake brands, mocked up logos, and built portfolios no one asked for. During the day, she served jollof and suya. At night, she built digital empires that only existed on her screen. On weekends, she took odd jobs, designing flyers for local events, cleaning small offices, managing Instagram pages for small business aunties who couldn't spell hashtag. Every dollar counted. She saved every tip, every extra dollar, only spending what she needed to survive. She didn't buy new clothes. She didn't go out. She didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not even Chidera knew the full story. Whenever someone asked about her family, she'd just smile and say, "We're not close." But every night, after the hustle ended, Amaka opened the old family WhatsApp group. She never typed. She never reacted. Just watched. Birthdays, wedding anniversaries, church selfies, and long forwarded prayers from her mum. Tenny, of course, was everywhere, taking over Amaka's old space like nothing happened. Amaka saw pictures of Tenny wearing her old Ankara dress, sitting in her old chair, even holding the small teddy bear she left behind. And every time, Amaka's chest tightened. She said nothing, just stared and saved the images. Proof. She didn't want revenge. Not yet. What she wanted was power. Real power. The kind that couldn't be taken away by lies. The kind that came from skill, from money, from rebuilding herself so strong that even if they tried, they couldn't break her again. So she stayed quiet. She focused. She kept her circle small. She worked when no one was watching, celebrated in silence, and stored her anger like fuel. And every night, just before closing her laptop, she whispered the same line. One day, they'll see. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove herself right. That she wasn't weak, that she wasn't lost, that being kicked out wasn't the end, but the beginning of something they could never imagine. While Amaka was rebuilding her life from scratch, Tenny was stepping into everything that once belonged to her. It started with the room, Amaka's old bedroom, the one she had decorated with fairy lights and dream boards, now had Tenny's name on the door. Tenny posted a video online, casually panning through the room as if it had always been hers. The same bed, the same books, even the small pink chair Amaka used for studying, now claimed by the one who betrayed her. Then came the university announcement. Amaka had worked for 2 years to earn that scholarship spot at UT Austin. She had cried the day she got accepted. But now, the same scholarship was under Tenny's name, the same major, the same classes. Amaka didn't need to ask how. She already knew. Her family didn't just kick her out. They erased her and replaced her with the very person who lied. Tenny wore it like a crown. Every achievement Amaka had worked for, Tenny posted it with a smile, collecting likes and comments from family friends who called her the pride of the family. They wrote things like, "Tenny is such a focused young woman, and your parents raised you well." No one mentioned Amaka. It was like she had never existed. The group chats were full of Tenny's selfies on campus, her birthday dinner, even videos of her dancing with their mother in the kitchen, something Amaka used to do every Sunday. But the deepest cut came when Tenny started dating Jide, Amaka's ex. They had broken up shortly before the family drama, but seeing him in photos with Tenny made Amaka's stomach twist. It wasn't just about the relationship, it was the message. Tenny wasn't just living Amaka's life, she was rubbing it in. Jide smiled in the photos like nothing had ever happened. He used to talk about forever with Amaka. Now he was matching outfits with her sister. Even her pain wasn't sacred anymore. Amaka saw everything. She didn't block them. She watched in silence. Every post, every comment, every tag, she saw it all. And every time she wanted to cry or scream, she opened her design software and worked. She created new logos. She built new brand templates. She chased new clients. She didn't let herself drown in anger. Instead, she used it as fuel. Every piece of her old life that Tenny took became one more reason to build a new life so big, so powerful, that no one could ever take it from her again. She didn't respond. She didn't reach out. She just kept going. And in the background of her quiet hustle, one truth grew louder every day. Tenny had stolen the spotlight, but Amaka was building the stage. And when she was done, no one would remember the name of the girl who lied, only the one who rose after being destroyed. 4 years passed like a quiet storm. Amaka never looked back, not once. She kept her head down, building slowly, piece by piece, from nothing. What started as small design gigs on freelance websites turned into full-time clients. Then those clients referred others. By her second year, she had registered her own company. By her third, she had employees. By year 4, she was running a 6-figure design agency with clients from New York, Atlanta, LA, and even London. She worked from a cozy studio in downtown Houston. Her name wasn't Amaka anymore, at least not online. She used her middle name and a stylized surname. Her brand was clean, bold, and global. Her Instagram had a blue checkmark, thousands of followers, and a spotless aesthetic that made people stop scrolling. She posted luxury lifestyle content, but nothing too flashy, just enough to show success without revealing too much. She was the mystery designer everyone wanted to hire. A silent investor had discovered her during a virtual design conference and offered to fund her next move. Now she was preparing for a new platform launch, one that would allow small business owners to access brand templates and tools she created herself. It was the biggest project of her life. The money was good, but the satisfaction was better. No one handed her anything. Every dollar she earned was built from the pain of being thrown away. Not once did she contact her family. She didn't need closure. She didn't need them to understand. Her mother's number was still blocked. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "You are dead to us." And that was all the fuel she ever needed. Tenny. She hadn't seen her face in years, but sometimes the memories would flash. The smirk behind the curtain, the silence as the door slammed shut. Amaka kept those memories locked deep, like old files in a cabinet. She never opened them unless she needed motivation. She had moved into a new apartment with high ceilings and floor-to-ceiling windows. Her workspace was filled with plants, books, and framed quotes that reminded her where she came from. She still had the same backpack she was thrown out with. She kept it in her closet, not as a reminder of pain, but proof of survival. That backpack had seen the couch she slept on, the coffee shops where she sent her first designs, the bus rides, the interviews, the sleepless nights. Nobody from home knew. They had no idea that the girl they tossed out had become one of the top designers in the game. They didn't know she was earning more in a month than most of them did in a year. She kept it that way. No posts they could trace, no names they could Google, just quiet success, wrapped in silence. Amaka was gone. What they had now was someone else, someone stronger, smarter, and unstoppable. The rise wasn't loud, but it was deep, and it was permanent. Tenny had always loved attention. After getting everything she wanted, Amaka's room, her place at the university, and even her ex, she was now chasing her next big dream, launching a fashion brand. She wanted to be known as a style icon, a girl boss, someone important. But there was one problem. She had no real skills. Her designs were basic. Her branding was all over the place, and people online weren't buying it. She started losing followers. The brand wasn't catching on. So, Tenny made a move. She posted on Instagram and Twitter, "Looking for a luxury brand strategist to help rebrand my fashion label. Serious inquiries only. Must have experience with high-end clients." She was desperate to look successful, even if it was fake. She wanted someone to build her brand from scratch. make it look like she knew what she was doing. Her tone was still proud, still bossy, but underneath, she was struggling. Miles away, Amaka saw the post while scrolling late at night. She froze. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the sudden spark of something cold and sharp. She read it again. The girl who took everything from her was now begging online for help, help that only someone like Amaka could offer. The irony tasted sweet, but she didn't smile. She just stared at the screen. Then she opened a new tab. Within an hour, Amaka had created a completely new identity, a fresh portfolio, a new name, a private email address. She used none of her public work, only samples she'd never posted before. Her fake profile looked like someone expensive, exclusive, and hard to book. She responded to the post like a true professional. "Hi, I specialize in luxury rebrands for fashion startups. I've worked with high-end clients in Paris, New York, and Dubai. I don't usually take on new clients, but your project sounds interesting. Let me know if you're serious." The next morning, Tenny responded with excitement. She had no idea who she was talking to. She just saw sleek branding, expensive words, and glowing fake reviews. She immediately scheduled a video call, but Amaka declined. "I don't do video calls," she replied. "Privacy is important to my brand." Tenny didn't care. She was just happy someone with status was helping her. She agreed to pay a high consultation fee up front. Amaka couldn't believe how easy it was. The same sister who threw her out now trusted her with her business, all because she believed in a name and a clean website. Amaka played the part well. She used voice-changing software to hide her identity in audio notes. She sent strategy documents with sleek logos and custom color palettes. Tenny followed everything without question. Every message was a step in a carefully planned setup. Amaka didn't want money. She wanted the truth to come out, and Tenny to finally face what she had done. But for now, she stayed quiet, hidden behind her screen, watching Tenny walk straight into the trap she'd set. Tenny was thrilled. She finally felt like a real fashion CEO. She wired 2 million naira up front without blinking, eager to lock in the luxury brand strategist who had agreed to take her on. The portfolio, the language, the promises, it all felt top tier. She believed she was working with someone elite, someone who could transform her brand into the next big thing. She boasted about it online, dropping hints about her international consultant and a major rebrand that was coming soon. She felt unstoppable. Amaka, hiding behind her new identity, got to work immediately. She responded with a sleek branding deck full of rich colors, modern fonts, and catchy taglines. Everything looked high-end and expensive. Tenny was impressed at every turn. She praised the work, called it perfect, and told her followers to get ready. But what Tenny didn't know was that every piece of that beautiful brand was a trap. Amaka embedded hidden flaws inside the logo design, subtle overlaps that would blur during printing. The brand color codes she shared were impossible to match in real-world fabrics, meaning nothing would ever look right in production. She also used copyrighted fonts without license, knowing it would cause legal problems the moment Tenny tried to go public. Each brand file was locked under terms that required yearly renewal, but Amaka left out the contract's legal language intentionally vague, enough to spark conflict later. She didn't stop there. The e-commerce platform she built looked stunning, but the back end was rigged. Checkout pages timed out. Email confirmations didn't work. Inventory tools glitched at random. Amaka tested everything privately, just enough to know it would fail only after launch. She smiled to herself, not with joy, but with a quiet sense of justice. Tenny, on the other hand, was over the moon. She shared sneak peeks online and booked a big launch party. She felt powerful, important, like a real boss lady. She had no idea the foundation of her business was crumbling beneath her feet. She ignored the small delays, brushed off the slow loading times, and blamed her own team whenever something felt off. Meanwhile, Amaka stayed distant, professional, and always too busy for calls. She kept the tone crisp, the deadlines tight, and the brand looking flawless on the outside. Tenny never once questioned her. Why would she? Everything looked like it came from a world far above anything she could have created herself. That's all she ever wanted, an image, not substance. As the 2 million naira sat in Amaka's account, untouched, she didn't feel joy from the money. The real reward was knowing Tenny had no idea who was behind the mask. The same sister she destroyed was now the architect of her empire, and also the one silently pulling out every support beam. It wasn't revenge driven by hate, It was justice wrapped in elegance. Tenny had no idea that her brand was nothing more than a castle made of glass, already beginning to crack. Launch day finally arrived, and Tenny was glowing with excitement. She wore her best designer outfit, set up a fancy backdrop in her room, and went live on Instagram. "Today's the day!" she shouted, smiling wide. Her followers flooded in, influencers reposted her teaser videos, and people couldn't wait to see the fashion line she had been hyping for months. She called it her rebirth, a symbol of how far she had come. She had no idea what was about to happen. The moment the website link went live, people rushed to it, but within seconds, the page stopped loading. Some saw a spinning wheel, others got error messages. "Site can't be reached. Gateway timed out." Confused messages started popping up in the comments. Tenny panicked. She tried to refresh the site from her end, but it wouldn't open. Her team called her, saying the dashboard wasn't responding either. She quickly switched the live to Q&A, trying to stall. "Tech glitch, guys, hold on," she said, still smiling nervously. But the issues didn't stop. Some followers, who managed to see the brand files before the crash, began tagging her in alarming posts. One said, "Your logo is already used by a tech startup in Canada." Another tagged a legal page. "This font is copyrighted. Take it down." Tenny's heart dropped. She emailed the designer, Amaka's fake identity, but there was no reply. Things only got worse. Customers who tried placing pre-orders said their payments got stuck or their cards were charged twice with no confirmation. Some posted screenshots. "Scam?" one user wrote. Another tweeted, "Tenny's brand launch is a mess." Within an hour, her name was trending, for all the wrong reasons. People were dragging her online, saying she didn't test her systems, accusing her of being unprofessional. Influencers began deleting their promo posts. She called the payment platform, only to hear that her business had been flagged due to licensing issues with her design assets. Everything was frozen: funds, emails, accounts. She tried logging into the brand portal the designer had sent, but it said access revoked. Her files were locked, uneditable, and watermarked. Nothing worked. She was shut out of her own brand. Her phone kept buzzing. Family, friends, bloggers. Everyone wanted answers. Tenny sat there, shaking, still in full makeup, staring at the crashing comments on her Instagram live. "What happened to the site? Is this a joke? You said luxury." Her voice cracked as she ended the stream without a word. Hours later, she was still sitting on the floor, refreshing her email, praying for a reply from the designer. But Amaka was silent, watching it all unfold from her own screen. She didn't smile or celebrate. She simply closed her laptop. Tenny had taken everything from her once. Now, she finally understood what it felt like to lose everything. Except this time, there would be no one to believe her side of the story. The news spread quickly. Tenny's business failure became the talk of social media and the local community. Memes flew everywhere. People mocked the broken website, the copyright scandal, and how a so-called fashion guru couldn't even launch a working brand. Influencers deleted their promos. Former classmates whispered behind her back. Brands that once wanted to collaborate now avoided her. It was public shame, loud and raw, and Tenny was drowning in it. Her parents, who had once proudly called her the golden child, were now panicking. Their daughter was falling apart, and with her, the family name was being dragged through the mud. That's when the first message came to Amaka's inbox. It was from an unknown number, but the voice was familiar. It was Mama. Her voice cracked through tears as she begged, "Amaka, please, your sister needs help. People are laughing at us. Help her just this once, please. You're the only one who can fix this." More messages followed. An old aunt sent a long voice note, quoting Bible verses about forgiveness. Another came from Papa, short and cold. "Your mother is worried. Help your sister if you can." Then a final one, shaky and desperate, from Tenny herself. She didn't even pretend to be strong anymore. She was crying, broken and raw. "Amaka, I know I hurt you. I was stupid. I don't deserve your help, but I'm begging you. Please." Amaka listened to every word. She sat alone in her quiet apartment, the same girl they once threw out with only a backpack and 50 naira. She played Mama's message twice, then paused. A part of her heart still remembered what it felt like to be blamed without proof, to sleep on a friend's couch, to scroll through her family chat and see herself erased. And now, those same people were calling her savior. She didn't rush to respond. She didn't scream or curse. She didn't throw insults or brag. She simply typed 2 words and hit send. Ask Tenny. The message was read immediately, and the typing bubble appeared for a few seconds, then disappeared. Silence. No reply. Amaka leaned back, closed her eyes, and felt a calm she hadn't felt in years. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't joy. It was peace. The kind that comes when you finally know your worth, when you no longer beg to be seen, when those who betrayed you come back not with pride, but with empty hands and teary voices. They had pushed her away without asking questions. Now they wanted her back without apology. But this time, the choice was hers, and she had made it. Tenny sat in her room, eyes puffy from crying, when the doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. Her life had already collapsed enough. Slowly, she walked to the door and picked up the brown package left on the step. No name, no return address, just a neat black ribbon tied across the top. Curious and nervous, she opened it with shaking hands. Inside was something she hadn't seen in years. Her heart stopped. It was the gold bangle, the very same heirloom she had hidden years ago to frame Amaka, the one that had gotten Amaka kicked out, disgraced, erased from the family without a second thought. Tenny's fingers trembled as she picked it up. Her mind raced. How did it get here? Who sent it? Her chest tightened as she reached further into the box and pulled out a photo. It was a printed picture of Amaka, radiant, confident, and unbothered, standing on a high-rise apartment balcony. She was smiling at the camera, wearing black jeans, white sneakers, and a bold black t-shirt. The words on the shirt were loud and clear. The black sheep always comes back. Tenny dropped the picture like it had burned her. She stared at the bangle again, memories flooding back. The day she slipped it into her drawer. The fake tears, the fake shock, the lies she told, the way she cried louder than Amaka, the way she called her thief without flinching. She remembered watching Amaka walk out of the house that day with nothing but a bag. And now, years later, this was her reckoning. She knew what it meant. Amaka had found the bangle. That meant she knew everything. And worse, she had kept silent. No revenge rants, no warnings, just patience, silent power. Now, with one photo and one bracelet, she had crushed every lie. Tenny dropped to her knees, humiliated in a way words couldn't fix. Her fashion brand had failed, her reputation was ruined, and now this. Proof that everything she stole had returned to its rightful owner. She had taken Amaka's room, her university spot, her boyfriend, her title as the good daughter. But Amaka took back something deeper, her voice, her dignity, her legacy. Far away, Amaka sipped tea on her balcony, watching the sunset. Her phone buzzed with notifications, new clients, brand features, collaboration offers. She ignored them for a moment and smiled, thinking of the package. It wasn't about revenge. It was about closure. She didn't need Tenny's apology. The truth had already spoken, loud, sharp, and clear. No words, no drama, just the bangle and the truth. Amaka had returned, not to ask for a place, but to remind them who she had always been. Not a thief, not a burden, but a force. A storm they never saw coming. And this time, she wasn't going anywhere. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of life's unfair turns, or made you believe in silent strength and sweet revenge, then don't let it end here. So many people are wrongly judged, cast aside, and forgotten, just like Amaka. But sometimes, the ones who were thrown away return stronger than anyone could imagine. If you believe in rising above pain, in karma, and in justice served cold, this story is for you. Please, like this video to support stories that deserve to be heard. Share it with someone who needs hope, healing, or a little reminder that life always comes full circle. And if you want more powerful emotional tales like this, stories that stay with you long after the video ends, then subscribe to our channel now. Thank you for watching. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.